Okay, the discriminant. Remember the quadratic equation, quadratic formula where x equals to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We have a radical sign here. We're looking for the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And this part, in fact, has some impact on the solutions we can obtain from the quadratic equations. So let's have an example. Say x squared plus 6x plus 5 equals to 0. Obviously, b is 6, so x equals to minus 6 plus or minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5, because a is 1 and c is 5, over 2a. So x equals to negative 6 plus or minus 36 minus 4 times 1 times 5 is 20, so minus 20 over 2, so x equals to negative 6 plus or minus 16 over 2, and x either equals to negative 6 plus 4 over 2, or x equals to negative 6 minus 4 over 2. In the end, we would have x either equal to negative 2 or x equals to negative 5. So we can say that if whatever's in the radical sign is positive, then we can have two distinct solutions. If we have another example, x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals to 0. Once again, the quadratic formula equals to 4 times 1 times 9 over 2 times 1. X equals to negative 6 plus or minus 36 minus 36 over 2, and x equals to 6 plus square root of 0 over 2. So interestingly, the square root of 0 is still 0. So whether it's adding or subtracting it, it makes no difference to our final answer. So there is only one possible solution where x equals to negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. We can only have one solution because the 0 here, it makes no difference whether it's add or subtract. So we can say that if the combination under the radical sign is 0, then we can only have one solution to the equation. And lastly, let's have another example. I assume you can guess it by now that whatever's under radical sign will be negative. So we can have x equals to negative x plus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 12 over 2a. So x equals to negative 6 plus or minus 36 minus 48 over 2, and x equals to negative 6 plus or minus negative 12 over 2. Notice here it's a negative number. Recall that if you multiply two negative numbers together, you will have a positive number. And of course, if you multiply two positive numbers, you still get a positive number. So, a square, no real number multiplied by itself can produce a negative number. So, we don't actually have a real solution for a negative number under the radical sign. So there is no real solutions. And people have noticed many hundreds of years ago that if whatever's under the radical sign is a negative number, we have no solution. What it means in terms of our parabola is that is a parabola, and the parabola will be dangling there. It will, no part of it will be touching the x-axis, and therefore there is no solution. And to summarize this, there is actually a name for this part of the quadratic formula, which is the discriminant, and it's usually represented by the lowercase delta, b squared minus 4ac. So this part, this is called the discriminant. And the rule can be summarized as: if the discriminant is larger than 0, then two real solutions. And if the discriminant delta equals to 0, one real solution. And if delta is smaller than 0, then no real solutions. Of course, notice I say no real solution and not no solution, because in some ways you can obtain solution except they are not real. But that's another topic.